So here is all the sheets laid out of my nerdy Gurdy, and I'm about to start staining it tonight. You can sort of see the color I chose. It looks pretty dark brown there, but it's like a wine stain purple sort of, which is perfect for me. Purple brown. I'm gonna be trying out this trans tint dye. The color is Cordovan. I've heard good things. And I have a little pre-mixed already. Anyway, it's pretty fast to dry. I might do a few coats, but we'll see how it goes. All right, so I'm about all the way through the first side. I might go back and do a second coat, but it's pretty thick. Any of the areas that aren't covered or like extra wood, I didn't want to waste my dye. It's really looks a little splotchy. I think that'll get better as it dries. So I used a sponge for, well, I used a staining pad actually for good coverage. But I like how it's bringing out the wood grain. That's kind of neat. It looks marbled. So yeah, stuff dries incredibly fast, so I should be able to move on in a second. Hooray. Okay, that's side 2 done. Should be dry within 10 minutes. Then I'll decide if I want to do more coats or if I just want to put a clear coating on. I'm gonna have to do some of the paint pen detailing and stuff before I put the whole thing together, which makes me a little about putting the coating on, because I'm not exactly sure what all I want to add, because it's hard in my mind to imagine exactly what it's gonna look like when it's done. But I guess we'll see. All right. So finishing thoughts for now. Also, everything is wine colored tonight, from the stain to this week's to-do list to the wine itself, which is Nighthawk Black, my favorite. I usually drink out of mugs, but it was especially crucial this time because I didn't want to mistake it for my dye, because I've been known to be one of those artists that drinks their paint water by mistake. So, you know, if you're holding a mug, it's safe to drink. If you're holding a plastic cup, don't do it, Jen. Anyway, so after thinking about it a little bit, I'm leaning towards waiting to do any kind of coating. That way I can really give the tint enough time to dry and stuff. But also, since most of the model can be put together without gluing it down, which is actually what they recommend in the instructions, I'm thinking that I'll do each part of the build like as far as I can, so that I can see what surfaces are going to be visible and how they're going to look put together. Because like I said, it's hard to picture even seeing photos of the finished project. It's just in my mind like, how do I work around that? Because I'm not the most spatial thinker. But in the meantime, there are a few surfaces that I know I'll have access to most of. And so I'm going to have to start thinking about designs for those. This one that I'm looking at now has the parts of the neck that the pegs are going to go into. So these two have the pegs or keys, if you want to call them that. And I believe that's going to be the cover that goes over it. And since there's no like wood burning or cutouts on that part, which I'm actually pretty glad for, because some of the ones I saw online before had like a circuit board design, which is very cool for the nerdy Gurdy, but it's not me necessarily. My aesthetics are a little different. As much as I enjoy working with technology, this is a pretty, it's a low-tech instrument produced by high-tech means. So I respect that, but for me, I want it to look a little bit more traditional. So I'll probably come up with some sort of like nature or witchy design for it. But that's going to be pretty much available as is most of the back, which I believe this is the back because it doesn't have cutouts for the wheel or anything. And in terms of that, I'm probably just going to do my signature symbol plus like either start and finish date or just the year. I'm not sure. Possibly a little inscription of some sort, but I have time to think about that. But it's also relieving that, I know I can get that done whenever I want before spraying it without having to think about how it's going to fit together. And then I think a lot of these are interior parts, so I don't know how they'll move or what they'll do. And those are the pegs and that are the sides that are going to wrap all the way around, and I believe this is the front. And with the front, I may have to wait on parts of it to see how it fits together, but I can start brainstorming what I want it to look like just based on like a vague idea of how they fit together from the 2 models that I built previously, which if you're thinking of getting into this kind of thing, like I cannot recommend just getting a cheap kit via Amazon. I mean, we hate Amazon, but they do have at least 2 styles of laser cut toy Gurdy kits, which are actually a much more complicated build than this. I'm really relieved because this will take more woodworking skill, but far less like puzzle solving skill. Also the instructions are like more explicit. Everything's higher quality, so I'm less likely to break parts, but I really feel like building the 2 toy/model Gurdys prepared me for this. And with that in mind, I had a sudden inspiration about the wheel, so this is going to be mostly inside of the instrument. That edge there is going to have rosin on it, which basically just provides friction to the strings to create the drone and then the tones as you press the keys in. So nothing's going on that edge because it'll just get worn down over time. The whole point is for it to be rough and to wear and to have basically sap stuck to it. So there's no point in decorating that highly. However, this edge here is kind of visible once the instrument is put together. This is my favorite of the 2 toy Gurdys I built. As you can see, like it's not super visible, but you can see the wheel on the edge there, and this will turn. Also, you can see how the neck is put together. So I'll be coming up, since the other one's just flat, I'll be coming up with my own design for here. I don't anticipate putting any holes in it just because I don't have access to a laser cutter easily. I mean, I can probably go to a makerspace in town, but I haven't been there yet and I'm not super literate. I used Justin's Glowforge before, but I had his help with it. So, laser cutting's not entirely my forte. So I'll probably just decorate it with, like I said, some sort of natural world thing or some sort of witchy thing. But yeah, anyway, like I was saying, this will spin around when the crank is turned. So with the one I'm making, it came to me suddenly that it would be really interesting if along the edge there I did some sort of like, it's not technically a zoetrope because it doesn't strobe, but an animation around the edge. So if you're looking exactly at a fixed point, you'll see an image moving basically as the wheel turns. And for that, I was thinking an opening and closing eye would be good because eyes are one of my favorite things to draw, one of my favorite symbols. So this is obviously a lot more frames than I'll need. Like, I don't need a closed eye for that long, but I got this reference to give myself a starting point. And I figure to be able to do it well, I can just get a similarly sized disc of cardboard, punch 2 holes from it in the center, and take a piece of string looped through it and basically make one of those spinny toys where like you spin it up and then you pull both ends and it rotates. And that seems like a good way of kind of checking what it'll look like. But yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. It's not like a big showy thing, but it's important to me. Like, I'll know it's there and I'll know it's cool. And, you know, just adds a little extra fun to it, extra meaning, I guess, as well. Also, I've been feeling pretty under the weather lately, pretty run down. And so it was cool to be standing here and like kind of overwhelmed, like, oh God, embarking on a new project and I don't know if I'm doing this right and I don't know if the staining's good and I don't know how it's going to look put together, so I better start stressing about what it's going to look like now because I can't apply coating, blah, blah, blah. To then out of that just have a moment of clarity and be like, well, here's one cool thing you can do. Like, here's an inspiration. So I'm excited to give that a try. I'm sure any decorative element will just delay the project because I'm slow as fuck. But yeah, anyway, more updates as it starts to come together, I guess. And have a good night.